So, we back at it again on the All Hard Grit and Grind channel. We back at it on this Black History Month thought series. And what we're going to get into today is this community called Orange Mound. Orange Mound. Now, we're all familiar with Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Rosewood in Florida, and of course, Harlem, because they had the Black Renaissance back in the early 20th century. We all know about those three. Those three have been spoken on countless times in these black spaces and pro-black spaces and places like that. But Orange Mound is that one single place that nobody seems to speak about. It's not on people's radar for some reason. And that's very interesting because Orange Mound predates all three of these black meccas by at least 10 years. And what's even more interesting is Orange Mound is actually the first subdivision that was built for and by African Americans to live. It originally was a slave plantation. It was owned by the Dedrick family. They bought it like in 1832 or something like that, but toward the end of slavery, they ended up, losing money, losing their profit, and subsequently losing their plantation. And they ended up selling the plantation to a developer. And what the developer did was sell parts of the plantation to former slaves, like in 1890, roughly 25 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. And that was an unprecedented move during this time period, to sell land to African Americans. And what he did was he sold those former slaves lots for around $100 a piece. And that enabled black people to enter home ownership and buy some property and opportunities to own some property and be self-sufficient and create their own stable and prosperous community, which they did. Yeah. So we can't forget about Orange Mound. That Orange Mound needs to be recognized right along with all the others, especially since it predates all three of these other communities by 10 years. Because all the other ones were created like 1920, 1915, or 1925, somewhere in there. But Orange Mound was developed in 1890. When that real estate developer bought their property from their slave owner family named Dedrick, the Dedrick family. And shortly after, maybe 15, 20 years, it became a thriving community for black people. especially considering you had these Jim Crow laws and things like that, and it became a real tight-knit community. It was a community lined up with shotgun houses at the time, but over the time, like around the 30s and 40s, the community really grew, and people became doctors and lawyers and business owners and things like that, and it really began to grow, and they began to have more recreation and events. It was a thriving place. It was a thriving place. More and more black people began to buy homes and buy houses and raise families, and it was just good. It was just a happy time. It was just a good time. And eventually, the community came together and built a state-of-the-art swimming pool, which was pretty much a park called Orange Mound Park. And I guess it served as a community center at the time. And that pool, that swimming pool, served as a symbol of stability and vitality, for African Americans in their community. And that's where people would gather, and it was like a celebration every weekend, pretty much every weekend, where the kids could swim and parents could, converse with fellow residents and get to know one another and connect and network and, do what people do. Make connections and create an even stronger community. But then by the 1960s, when desegregation came into play, things started to go downhill because a lot of people were against desegregation. So city leaders decided to close the pool so they wouldn't have to comply with the desegregation laws. So as the pool remained locked up and it kind of deteriorated, so 4 years later, the park commission said that it would be too costly to repair the pool, so they ended up selling it to a warehouse company. So now there is nowhere for people to go. There's nowhere for the youth to go. It's no longer anything to do in the community. As crazy as it may sound, that was the beginning of the decline for Orange Mound. I mean, they had protests and things like, protests and things like that, and they were supposed to have some type of court meeting, but it never happened. And so long story short, a lot of people moved out and never came back. A lot of people just moved to the suburbs, I guess, and the people that remained were the elderly and the people that couldn't afford to move. So, and that's when the poverty and alcohol and drugs come into play. They helped pretty much. That was pretty much the catalyst for the downfall of their community. And that's pretty much how we got to where we are now. That area now is almost like a war zone. But truth be told, you do have people working to make it better currently. But It's gonna take a lot of work, just like anything else, but the fact remains that Orange Mound was the first black Mecca. That was the first community that was built exclusively for African Americans, unlike all the rest. All the rest were already, they were either already mixed, they were already black and white previously, or like Harlem, their community consisted of Italians and Jews at first, before blacks flocked there during the Great Migration. And the same goes for Black Wall Street. You know, if I'm not mistaken, it was both black and white, if not all white, before blacks started to move in. But Orange Mound was started off as an all black community. It was built for black Americans. So I just want to let that be known, because we've heard countless stories, countless commentary in this space about Black Wall Street, Rosewood, and mainly Black Wall Street and Rosewood. Not so much Harlem. I mean, every now and then, but not so much. But I just want to put it out there about Orange Mound, because that community needs to be thrown into the conversation as well. So, that being said, that's all I got for right now. I hope this was informative. And make sure you hit the like button on the way out. And I will holler at y'all later. Peace.